Hello and welcome to the Astranti pre-scene analysis video series for the strategic case study exams of May and August 2022. And we'll be looking in this set of videos at the pre-scene company Snakwheel. So my name is James Nutting and I am actually the head of accountancy courses here at Astranti. But I actually do a lot of other things and have done many other things during my time here. At the moment, I'm also the lead strategic case study tutor. So it's my job to provide the pre-scene analysis, the strategic analysis, the top 10 videos. I'll be working on the mocks. I'll be working on the mock debriefs too. So all of that stuff falls under my remit as the strategic case study lead tutor. Now, previously, I was the head of case study in general. I was managing the case studies for Astranti, strategic management and operational level. So I'm very well familiar and experienced in CIMA's case study exams. Prior to that, I was the operational case study lead tutor. So I was doing what I'm doing now, but for the operational level. And I did that for several years. And within Astranti generally, I've worked as a tutor, writing study text, recording videos, giving webinars, all sorts of things for the last 7 or so years. And my particular expertise, I would say, lies within the finance pillars, F1, F2, and F3. Obviously, I'm familiar and know very well the entire syllabus, and particularly the strategic syllabus for SCS. So how is this video series going to work? Well, first of all, let's think about what it's made up of. First of all, we've got the pre-scene analysis video series. That's going to be 6 videos going through the entire pre-scene. And we're going to go through section by section, more or less page by page. And we're going to be focusing on a number of key things. One of those is focusing on the syllabus. So as we'll go through, we'll point out key bits of information that are related directly to the syllabus. So for example, if we read a section and it's got something on there about cybersecurity, then we know that that's referring to P3, the area of P3 that deals with cybersecurity. So we would make that link and we'd start to tease out a bit more information and understand what aspect or what angle the pre-scene is coming at and how it might be examining that part of the P3 syllabus in the exams. As we do that and as we go through as well, the pre-scene will suggest particular issues that are more likely to come up in the exam. Remember, the pre-scene is written by the examinations team at CIMA, and they are going to write it in a way that they can develop exam questions. So if you read between the lines and you take that view, you can usually come up with a number of likely issues. And we'll take those. I'll be suggesting those as I see them throughout based on my experience, my past experience of past exam sittings, but also my knowledge of the case study and the strategic case study in particular. But we'll be taking that and doing a whole separate video called the top 10 most likely issues video as well. And more generally in the pre-scene, obviously it's an analysis. So we're trying to get an understanding of the company, of the industry, what they're doing well, what they're not doing so well, and their strengths and weaknesses, and then kind of opportunities and potential threats. Another video in the series is the strategic analysis, and we also have, as I just mentioned, the top 10 most likely exam issues video. Now, how those work in the pre-scene analysis videos, as you'll see shortly as I get on with it, I am not assuming any prior knowledge. I'm literally going through the pre-scene as I find it. So what I recommend as an approach would be for you to watch, for you to read a section of the pre-scene and then come back and watch my review and compare your notes to what I have. In the strategic analysis, we use something called the rational planning model, which you may be familiar with from E3. And the idea there is to come up with a business strategy for the pre-scene company. And you can use that as a basis from which to make recommendations and give good advice or analysis in the actual exam. And you can make sure your answers are in alignment with the best interests of the company from a strategic perspective. And then the top 10 most likely exam issues is exactly that. It's the 10 most likely issues that I think are going to come up in the exam. And I'll be defending those choices. So I'll give a reason for why I think it's likely to come up in the exam. And I'll also tell you the best way to prepare for that scenario. Now, just a few notes on the pre-scene analysis video series, what we're about to go into. The aim here is simply to provide context, just to understand the pre-scene company and the industry, to get an idea of what they're all about, what they're good at, what they're not so good at. You shouldn't be writing or putting anything together based solely on the pre-scene, okay? Because the exam is examined, you're examined in the exam on the unseen issues as they are presented to you. So this is all about giving you the background to deal with unseen issues. Now you can and should use it on the exam day. You can use the pre-scene, you can access the pre-scene in the exam, as you probably know, but also your analysis will help you to give better answers. Your recommendations should be consistent with the analysis that we will be doing in this series of videos. So remember, this is all about giving you that deeper understanding, that broader context of the company to help you give better answers in the exam. And with that, let's crack on with it. So just a quick overview of the structure of this video series before we begin. Now in total, there will be 6 videos and this is video 1. So we will be looking today in this video just at the introductory section of the pre-scene. We'll be establishing your role. We'll be understanding a lot actually about the company. You can get a lot from just the introduction and that will be our starting point. And then we'll go through the pre-scene more or less in order. So in video 2, we'll start looking at the industry. We'll get an idea of the business environment. In video 3, we'll continue looking at the industry, but we'll also be looking at the news articles that are towards the end of the pre-scene. So we will skip towards that section there at the end. In video 4, we start to focus more on areas of the syllabus. So we'll be looking at the company, the information that is given about the company, and we'll be taking an E3 focus there, looking at it from a strategic perspective. We then move on to a P3 focus in video 5, where we consider risk and governance and internal audit and control. And then finally in video 6, we take an F3 focus and we consider finance. So we'll be looking at the financial statements in depth of the pre-scene company and of the competitor. We'll also be considering other aspects related to finance. We're looking at the share price and the beta, and perhaps have a think about the kind of finance strategy, the dividend policy, valuations, those sorts of things. So that's the structure of the video series. If there's any particular one that you want to look at, feel free to jump ahead and watch that one. You don't necessarily have to watch them in order, but do bear in mind I am going through this in order, so I may refer back to things from earlier videos as we get through the analysis. Okay, there is just one more thing to point out before we get into the actual content of the analysis, and that is this COVID-19 statement on the front page. Now, obviously, all of us have gone through a global pandemic with COVID-19, and it has become an everyday part of our lives. But what CIMA really want to get across here is that this pre-scene and the exams are set in a context where this pandemic has not had an impact. So you shouldn't go into this exam assuming that the pandemic, as it has happened to us, has happened in the fiction of this pre-scene world. Okay, so assume that it hasn't happened is the advice I would give. Now, if you make relevant, valid arguments that make references to the impact of a pandemic or social distancing, and they are relevant points to make, then you will of course be awarded marks for that. But you will be prompted or told, or you will at least be guided to make that kind of analysis based on the question that has come up in the unseen exam. Again, do not assume that whatever has happened in the industry or to this pre-scene company is due to the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. Okay, so let's move on and have a look at the introduction. So on this page here is just the contents. There's really not much analysis to be done of that. So we'll just scroll down to this section here. This is what we want. Now the introduction, it's just 3 smallish paragraphs, and many students will read this and not think much of it and move straight on into the body of the pre-scene. And that might be fine for some students, but actually what I'm going to do here is show you just how much information you can get from just a few paragraphs. Remember that the examinations team at CIMA have written this pre-scene. It's taken them a long time to develop this. They will be implanting clues and information that will guide us towards, first of all, understanding the company, but also things that might suggest what is coming up in the exam. So it's important to pay attention. So what we're going to go do here is we'll comb through every single line, and we won't do this for the entire series because it would take, weeks to get through it. But I just want to show you just what you can get from being diligent and paying close attention to what is given to us here in the pre-scene. Okay, so introduction. Snakwheel, that's the company we are dealing with here. Snakwheel is a quoted company. Okay, well, straight away there we have information, don't we? Because not all companies are quoted, and we're being told that this one is. So what does that mean? Well, a quoted company is one that is listed on a stock exchange. So we know we've got a company that is large enough and has been around enough and is, significant enough to have had an IPO, and one that is now listed on a stock exchange. That suggests a level of prestige. Not every company is listed, and even when they are listed, there's lots of different stock exchange, some, more reputable than others. So to be quoted, that is important information. It gives us an idea of the size and kind of level of competition and where this company sits within the context of perhaps not just the industry, but just generally as a company. And it also means it has easier access to types of finance, certainly equity finance. We know that if it's quoted, it has shares that are available to shareholders. That's another thing. The company has shareholders, and that's going to be a primary stakeholder for them to manage. And that also brings up questions over governance as well. Once you have shareholders, it could be anyone can buy your shares on a stock exchange. That suddenly means you have a duty of care to those shareholders, and things such as corporate governance become a lot more important. And depending on the regulatory requirements of the stock exchange on which they are listed, if they are, if it's a renowned stock exchange, then there will be significant compliance costs for meeting those regulations that keep shareholders safe. And back to my original point was that you have access to greater access to finance. You have shares in issue that gives you shareholders, but it also gives you that as a type of finance. You also have the option to raise more money through issue of shares. You could do a rights issue, a bonus issue to raise finance. It just gives you more options available. You also have debt finance actually available to you in a way that you may not be if you weren't a quoted company. Yes, you can still go to the bank, take out a loan, but with a listing on a stock exchange, it makes it that bit easier to issue debt instruments as well to raise the finance that you may need. All of that, of course, giving the company a complex capital structure, potentially. Being a listed company, you have access to all the potential means for funding, and thereby you have to consider those things carefully. And the finance department and the finance strategy that will have certain goals and targets relating to perhaps the target debt profile and the target weighted average cost of capital, for example. So a number of F3 topics that are far more relevant to a quoted company than one that is not listed. Okay, so Snakwheel is a quoted company that facilitates home deliveries on behalf of fast food companies across its home country. Okay, so let's just break that down. So it facilitates home deliveries. So the word there we want to focus on is facilitate, because that is a particular word, isn't it? It's not, manufactures or retails, it's facilitate. And that gives us a clue or insight into what it is that this company does that is valuable. It's a facilitator between two other kind of separate industries or area of business. And so we can start to establish their role within the ecosystem. Their value, the value they provide within the ecosystem, or their kind of value proposition, is that they are the ones that facilitate the home deliveries on behalf of fast food companies. So they are kind of a middleman or an extra step that ensures that fast food companies, ones that don't do delivery, can expand their market to home deliveries through the use of Snakwheel. So in that sense, there is a B2B element going on here, isn't there? Because one of the key customers then for Snakwheel is going to be those fast food restaurants who will want access to Snakwheel's platform in order to sell their food to people waiting for it at home. But in addition to that, it's not just B2B as well, it's B2C, because Snakwheel is again offering a service to end consumers who have that wide range of fast food restaurants to choose from and get that delivered to home. There's also potentially an element here in which we could treat the delivery drivers or riders or whatever they are, whether they are an employee, making them an internal stakeholder, or if they weren't an employee, they would be a self-employed, contracted, supplier. And then again, that's where this word facilitate comes in again. And that would be a different way of treating them, because you treat an employee differently to how you would treat a contracted, self-employed person. And all of this leads into the key question really, is that how does this generate revenue for the company? Where is their money coming from? And what is the value they are generating in the markets they operate in and in the industry? Well, more information about that will come as we go through the pre-scene. But like I say, the word there highlighted is facilitates. That's where they're bringing in value, and that's where they will generate the revenue. So they will be able to take a commission on the cost of the delivery, and there is most likely a sign-up fee. There may be a premium membership package for end consumers. The fast food restaurants themselves will likely pay a membership fee. So lots of potential revenue streams coming into the company here, and ways of turning that value into cash inflows. Okay, so Snakwheel is a quoted company that facilitates home deliveries. So here's another key sort of insight here. We're talking about home deliveries. Who's going to be doing those home deliveries? That goes back to the question I raised a moment ago, whether the delivery drivers, riders, whatever they are, whether they're in cars or on bicycles, are they employees hired by the company, or are they third-party contractors without some of those benefits that come with being an employee, but also other benefits of not being an employee? Obviously, that is going to become, that's an issue we'll talk about more later on, because if you're aware of these types of companies, the Deliveroos, the Uber Eats, the nature of the relationship with their delivery drivers has become an issue that has ethical elements to it. And so that will be something we discuss, as I imagine, as we go through the pre-scene analysis. But on top of that, there is also simply managing the logistics of this. That, as I've said, is the value that Snakwheel is bringing to the industry here. Taking three separate elements, the fast food restaurants, the delivery drivers, and the consumers, and bringing them all together with their technology. The technology is the key here. So Snakwheel is a quoted company that facilitates home deliveries on behalf of fast food companies. So this is another element. So obviously Snakwheel isn't a fast food company itself, but the fast food industry is obviously key to its operations, its success, and also as well its strategic plans. So we need to think about the fast food the fast food industry, we need to understand the fast food industry. Okay, and just off the top of your head, I'm sure you're familiar with the fast food industry. You've engaged with it yourself, most likely. It's a huge industry, and it's broad, and many multi-billion dollar industry. But it is under constant scrutiny because of the health impacts, obviously, and the way that it's marketed, its attractiveness, but ultimately the impact on poor health, on weight gain and obesity. And that scrutiny has a social dimension, but also a political one. Of course, people are more health conscious these days, more so than they were in the past, but that health consciousness is also led to some political action, not just through protesting and political movements, but also actual legislation and policy and taxation that has been put in place to limit the consumption of fast food. So if we're thinking here broader about understanding the environment and a pastel analysis under the P for political, we would certainly pop in something like the possibility of political or legislative acts that limit or restrict the consumption of fast food, and that would of course have a direct impact on a company like Snakwheel. Snakwheel. I'm probably going to say Snakwheel again by accident. Okay, so Snakwheel is a quoted company that facilitates home deliveries on behalf of fast food companies across its home country. Again, doesn't seem like a lot, it's 2 words, but it tells us what? Well, it tells us that this company only operates in its domestic market. And of course, that obviously raises the question of, what options are there for expansion? Is there something particular to the domestic market that makes this type of business model very successful? And what are those features? Obviously, just off the top of your head, you're obviously going to need a fairly well-developed country with exposable income. You're going to have the technology available to offer this kind of service. Just those 3 things alone aren't present all over the world, are they? So, what are the key factors that a market needs to have for success? Are there overseas markets or international markets where those factors are present, where Snakwheel could expand into? And what is the competitive rivalry like in those international markets? Are there Snakwheels all over the world, or is Snakwheel large? These are key questions that we have now that we will answer as we go through. We'll certainly find answers for these, but they are key questions that come to mind early on, just in these first few paragraphs. And of course, just for context as well, expansion into an international market is a topic that does come up in the case study exams. It's the kind of scenario you are likely to see in an exam question, because it's very easy to examine across the entire syllabus. Obviously, you have the strategic evaluation, understanding the international markets and the environment. Is it a good option? You have the P3 aspect of it, looking at the risks involved and what the impact might be on the company and how to manage those risks. And of course, financially, from the F3 perspective, we're looking at potential, what is the mechanism for expansion? Is it going to be investment or an acquisition of a subsidiary? And, how will that work? And do we have the finance available to fund such a venture? Okay, so that's the first sentence done. Quite a lot you can get from that, isn't there? Like I said, we won't be going into quite this much detail as we go through, and actually we'll find that there are sometimes large sections of the pre-scene that there isn't a great deal that you can get from that. There's not much analysis to be done. But continuing on with the second sentence, the word I'm going to highlight here is consumers, because we need to think about the consumers. Who are what you would consider the consumers in this arrangement? Already we've established, haven't we already, that we have the fast food companies, we have the delivery drivers, but we also have the consumers. So is there a kind of an idea, a profile we can put together of what these consumers might be like for a fast food home delivery app? So obviously the end consumers, this would be the B2C side of the business. These are the end consumers who the company is selling to. And so what their profile be? Well, we need to have a bit of an understanding of them. And again, going off of where real life companies like this, how they tend to operate, your Deliveries, your Just Eats, they tend to be most popular in urban centres where there are large populations and a large number of fast food outlets. The end consumers will tend to be fairly tech savvy, making these orders on their smartphones or through their laptops and computers. They obviously need to have a level of disposable income because remember, they are buying fast food and paying a premium through their delivery service. It's cheaper to go to the fast food place directly. You are paying a premium to have it delivered to you. And you're paying a premium for the technology and the range of choices that the technology offers you. And that is maybe considered a luxury. Even though it's cheap, generally fast food is considered cheap, certainly isn't a necessity. It's more towards the luxury end of things. It's a non-essential good. And on top of that, are there further B2B opportunities? Those are our end consumers, but are there any others that we haven't considered here? I'm not going to dwell too long on that just at the moment because as I say, we've got lots more to get through. But just something worth keeping in mind. Okay, and these end consumers, they can order the food either by app, as I said, through their smartphone, or through the website, through Snakwheel's website. So of course, digital technologies are going to be very important here. Key E3 content. Obviously, the new technology can be considered disruptive, so that's going to be a key feature in this industry, as well as such things as AI, artificial intelligence, and machine learning, the extent to which that can be applied in these apps and in the software to deliver a better service to the end consumers, looking at their activity and their history, the kind of restaurants they tend to shop at, what time they tend to shop at, all that kind of stuff. The AI and the machine learning, then the algorithms can suggest the best possible options to those consumers. So that's going to be a key feature here in possibly offering the best customer service that is possible and potentially giving a company like Snakwheel a competitive edge over the competitors. On the other side of things too, on the one hand, it could be a competitive advantage. On the other, if we're looking at it from a risk and security perspective, cybersecurity is important. If you have a website, if you have an app, if you're using data, personal data, potentially personal financial information of individuals, particularly if they're paying for this through the app, which of course they will be, then you have to be very careful. You need to have appropriate controls in place. You need to have security controls in place to prevent to mitigate the risk of attack and losing that information or it getting into the wrong hands. I hope you enjoyed that sample that was taken from the full strategic case study course. So if you want to watch the entire video, then go ahead and sign up for our course. Before you do that, let me just tell you a bit about it so you know what you are getting. Our courses are designed first and foremost to help you pass your exam. We want you to minimize your study time, and we ensure that through providing those things, you are getting value for money. So what's on our course? Well, let me tell you a bit about the materials that we have on it. First of all, we have our exam technique series that's designed to help you to get to grips with the case study exam and find out exactly what it takes to pass. And in this series, you'll perfect your exam planning and writing technique. You'll find out how to maximize the marks that you score in your final exam. You'll learn how to provide the best answers written down in the right way within the time given on the exam. And you'll hear exactly what the examiners say about how to pass the case study exam. In the theory revision series, this is designed to refresh all of your syllabus knowledge relevant to the case study exams. So we take the most commonly examined theory from E3, F3 and P3 and summarize that for you so you can review theory quickly and easily. So you can take the study text with you wherever you are, online or with the printable version. It also includes a whole range of tuition videos for those particular topics. We, of course, have the pre-scene analysis and the pre-scene materials, and that includes a full analysis of the pre-scene, picking out the most important snippets of information so that you don't miss a thing. 6 full videos for you to get through there. Also in the pre-scene materials package, we have a strategic analysis that links the pre-scene to the key theories and models from the syllabus. We have an analysis of the top 10 most likely issues to appear in the final exam, according to our case study experts. And we have 30 pre-scene knowledge questions designed to cement your knowledge of the pre-scene. Next up, we have the industry analysis. Our industry analysis provides an overview of the real-world industry that the pre-scene company belongs to, so you can apply this in the exam to score extra marks. Of course, we have mock exams and mock debriefs. Our mock exams include 5 fully timed computer-based mock exams with challenging questions designed to replicate the real exam. In addition to the questions, all of our mocks come with detailed solutions so you understand where you went wrong quickly and easily, and you can learn how to approach a similar question in the real exam. The mock debriefs are a series of video debriefs for each of the mock exams that go through exactly how to take the question, interpret the question, and turn that into a plan for the exam. So it shows you what you should be doing, how to apply what we've learned in the exam technique series, and you can compare your answer against the plan developed in the mock debrief. An essential product that students always are really popular with, or our students, is marking and feedback. And we have comprehensive marking and feedback included for 3 mock exams when you join the course. And that's from your assigned expert tutor who will be marking those scripts for you. That gives you the best platform for focusing your remaining studies and improving your answers. You'll work with the same marker throughout, so they'll get to know you and then give you personalized tips for how you can improve. We also have questions packs. First of all, we have the ethics pack, which helps you to cope with ethics questions, and we have a range of particular ethical issues to help you practice. We also have our generic question pack series. That's 60 exam style questions on a range of topics that are based on generic companies. So that's not based on the pre-scene, but it's a good way for you to practice writing exam answers in addition to what we've looked at on the pre-scene. And then finally, we have our masterclasses. There are 3 live online masterclass days, and signing up for the course gives you access to all of those. You can sit in and watch our experienced SCS tutor going through. You can talk to them through the interactive chat box. You can ask further questions on our discussion board. And those masterclasses are designed to take what we've learnt from exam technique, from theory revision, from the pre-scene analysis, and apply it to your actual exam solutions. Finally, to back all of that up, we have our double guarantee. So that includes, first and foremost, a 14-day full money-back guarantee. So if within 14 days you aren't happy with what's on the course, you can get a refund, no questions asked. And on top of that, we also have a pass guarantee, which is basically if you sit with us, if you have our course and you sit the exam and you don't pass, then we will give you the course again for free. That's how confident we are in our materials. I hope you enjoyed the video, which is a sample from the full course. If you want to see more like this, including more analysis, how to develop your exam technique, mock exams, and much, much more, you can head over to the Astranti website and sign up for free. And free membership enables you to sample a range of materials from the full course. We update the channel twice a week with new content, so if you'd like regular exam content and tips, please like and subscribe. And don't forget, you can find us on all the usual social media platforms, as you can see on the screen and in the description. And why not join us at our Facebook study group, where you can chat with other students sitting the same exam.